Hello, 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 everybody. It's your girl Ashley, the amateur expert, coming to you live today for this episode of Asking for a Friend. We're gonna wait for a few people to hop in, and then I will probably do uh, I don't even know. Happy Friday, everybody. Happy Friday. Justin's here. Perfect. Hey, Justin. We're gonna give it a few seconds, and then we will start officially. Super excited that we made it through another week. And yeah. Okay, so starting now. Hello, 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 everybody. It's your girl Ashley, the amateur expert, coming to you live today for this episode of Asking for a Friend. Super excited to have Justin Blake with us today. He is in the room, so we will get started. Hey, Lawrence, how are you? Hello there, Justin. How are you?
I'm doing well. How are you?
I am great. Happy to have you on the show with us today.
Yes, ma'am. Thank you for having me.
So, Justin, I was having a conversation with one of my friends the other day, and we were talking about entrepreneurship, right? And everybody wants to do it, but it's not for the faint at heart. And so I know that you are a entrepreneur, and so I would love to talk with you and get some answers for my friend, of course,
Okay.
about your entrepreneurial endeavors, but also I want to do a little bit of a twist, right? Because
Okay.
you went to an HBCU, and so I want to know about your HBCU experience and how you feel that it prepared you for entrepreneurship.
Absolutely. Okay. Sounds great.
Okay, cool. So first, can you tell us a little bit, maybe about why you decided to go to HBCU?
So actually, I would say the reason why I decided to go to HBCU is I had strong family ties to North Carolina A&T specifically.
Okay.
My mother's twin sister actually attended A&T. So while I was a adolescent, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12 years old, I would frequent A&T quite often. So
Okay.
I was already read into what A&T was all about. So by the time it came to my senior year, I was going through a little bit of a transition. My mother had recently just got deployed to Iraq,
Oh, wow.
and,
Okay.
and my stepfather had got deployed to South Korea. So I was in a position to where I really had to lean on my aunt. So I wanted to play sports. I knew academics. I wanted to be an engineer at that point in time.
Okay.
A&T just fit the mold, as well as I already had prior experience going as a youth, right? So
Yeah, of course.
it fell in line with the criteria that I wanted to accomplish from a self perspective of my goals,
Hmm.
as well as I had somebody directly, bloodline directly to me that attended A&T, so it worked out in that fashion.
I love that. And I actually, one of my cousins went to A&T, so I had a blue and gold blanket that I loved forever. Um,
Awesome.
and so, okay, so that's why you went to A&T. And so, can you tell us a little bit about your experience there?
So I mean, I had a really good experience at A&T. So I took it upon myself to get hyper involved with social organizations.
Mm,
So I was a two sport athlete my freshman year.
love that.
I also crossed Alpha Phi Alpha Fraternity Incorporated my freshman year. Uh,
Overachiever, but we like it.
I try, and but beyond my freshman year, I decided to let the sports go because as I started to get more and more professional development, I understood I wasn't going to anybody's professional sports league, football or baseball. That I
Okay.
needed to really hone in on my professional skills. So that sent me in a direction to get more and more involved with student government, the student
Mm,
SGA, Student Government Association,
yeah.
as well as other organizations as well. So I would say I probably touched all major student organizations on campus. So that was great. And then when you bolt on the Alpha Phi Alpha experience of being able to do community service and do things with the fraternity, that was great. As well as being a military brat, having to go
Mm,
on to 17 schools from kindergarten to 12th grade. Yeah,
whoa.
yeah.
Okay.
I was very accustomed to being a new kid, but not only being a new kid, but being able to adapt to different cultures.
Mm-hmm,
So
mm-hmm.
I was really able to tap into the New Yorkers, the Californian, the folks from California, folks from Texas, folks from Florida, so on and so
Yeah.
forth, right? And really learn, yes, we're here on this campus, but what is it like where you're from, sort of
Mm-hmm.
situation, right? So I had a very, very eclectic experience at A&T. And it was great. It's bar none, second to none. I definitely exploited all things you can exploit in a positive sense while in college.
Yeah.
It was a great time.
Uh,
I miss it time to time. So
the college experience, A&T, are you still in North Carolina?
no, I'm in Washington D.C.
Okay, that's right, because that's where you start your business.
Hmm.
So two years ago. So why don't you tell us a little bit about that?
Yes, yes. So April 2018, I started a company called Operational Excellence and Design Management Group. So it's OEDM for short. That is a tongue twister. But we specialize in process engineering, or what we call business process reengineering.
Mm-hmm.
And to keep it in its most layman terms, we ultimately make processes smarter to work more efficiently, work smarter and not harder. So that entails reconfiguring IT systems. That entails
Mm-hmm.
reconfiguring the operating model from a personnel perspective. That
Yeah.
entails understanding transactional workflow of whatever thing you're dealing with within your organization, right?
Yeah.
So I have a team of folks that we go into your organization. We understand what your as is state is,
Mm-hmm.
as far as how your day to day business is today. And if there's any pain points or improvement opportunities that have been discovered, we put together a trajectory or a journey map on how to realize that better, or what we call best in class state,
Mm-hmm.
to be more efficient, to cut costs, save money, or ultimately, better use your personnel or your workforce. So we specialize in the corporate industry as well as in mostly in the government industry.
That's amazing. And so I come from a procurement background, and so I
Mhm.
feel like uh, people don't think like I think that you have to have a certain mindset to be in procurement or to be a consultant in the way that you are, to
Mhm.
have a fresh set of eyes on a business and be able to um, come in a way that is going to be efficient, but not like rub people the wrong way. And as
Exactly.
right, because people don't like change. People like to their systems work. Their systems work, and usually the directive is coming from people who don't do the day to day. And
Mhm.
so I wonder how you've used some of your SGA experiences, or maybe even your experiences in your fraternity. And your HBCU experience all together to prepare you for the field that you're working in.
Absolutely. So this is comes down to people management, right? So obviously not obviously, I'm so sorry to say that.
That's
But
okay.
there are methodologies and things of that nature, such as change Cotter, ADKAR, PROCE. There's models in place to drive change management, as you're saying, right?
Mm-hmm.
But ultimately, when folks like myself come in, or folks like my staff come in, they think that we're eliminating jobs. They think that we are, trying to change status quo and things of that nature.
Mm-hmm.
So it's not only important to understand things on a tactical level, but it's to get to know the personality of the resources that you're working with, right? Yes, I'll get my marching orders from leadership on what needs to be done,
Mm-hmm.
but it's to my job and my team's job to understand what is those day to day operations for those folks with boots on the ground, right?
Love that.
And because more 9.5 times out of 10, they already know the solution to what needs to be fixed, right?
Always,
But
always.
no one ever asks them.
Mm-hmm.
No one ever goes to them, right?
Yeah.
So it's in order to put a self-managing, self-sustaining solution in process, you have to have those folks that are front line involved in the process from the get-go, right?
So important.
So, and that's where change management comes back in. And I'm not sure if folks know what change management is, but it's absolutely driving change from an as is state to a to be state, right? No matter what methodology you
Mm-hmm.
choose to do that with. But it's incorporating those change management strategies on the front end and not on the back end of when you're trying to put a corrective action
Yeah.
or an improvement in place, right? So that's super important. So we do things such as journey mapping sessions and Gemba walks, a day in the life of a subject matter expert, so on and so forth.
Yeah. I love that.
But to bolt on my SGA, my Alpha experience, it's all about knowing how to recognize your audience, knowing your audience and understanding how to be empathetic to what they have going on, right? Yes, we're there to do a job. Yes, we're getting paid to do a job, but I don't want to make my job or my team's job harder by trying to come in with the iron fist and
Yep.
incorporate or trying to implement things, right?
Mm-hmm.
So it's important to and I'm not saying get to know on a super, super personal level, but just be a good person, be personable, right?
Yeah.
And that's
Okay.
super important. That goes a long way. And just being an open ear, right? Because again, that those marching orders would have come down from the top down.
Yeah.
But then when you get to the bottom, you realize it's much more of a cluster than what leadership even understands, right? So
Yeah.
is having those investigative ears in place and knowing how to understand, okay, what information is being disclosed to me and
Mhm.
how can I reconfigure that or automate that, or not automate, but put that in a manner
A
to where it
system. Hmm.
in a system that ultimately makes everyone's job easier, right? And having to run for SGA office, having to have interviews for Alpha, so on and so forth, I learned at a very early, as well as being a military brat, I learned at a very early age on how to understand, listen, and respect your audience, right? No matter
Yeah.
what the situation is, because you can learn something from anybody.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I love that. And so, one question I want to ask you is, why entrepreneurship? So, or why did you want to be an entrepreneur, right? And so, being the amateur expert, I claim to know a little bit about a lot. And I think that one of my main goals is to let people know that like you can do things that aren't on the beaten path, right? You can create
Mm-hmm.
your own path. And so, what made you decide that entrepreneurship was the route that was best for you?
So in my case, actually, and to be super candid, I fell into entrepreneurship, to be honest with you, right? So, right out of college, I was just like the majority of folks looking for a job.
Yeah,
That's what I was in, and I was fortunate enough to be able to, be working with the Department of Defense right out of college, like the next week after I walked across the stage.
that's a blessing. Amen.
Thank you, thank you. I was lucky. I was lucky. I was lucky. So, through that, I had a couple of years under my belt with DoD. And I knew that to further expand myself and be more of a top tier professional, I needed to go out and experience corporate America, the private sector.
Hmm.
In doing that and making that leap, I was successful in being able to jump over to the private sector. I was able to climb the hierarchical ladder pretty quickly, right? In doing so, I got exposed to the financials behind some of the, because I was a consultant. I got
Hmm.
exposed to the financials behind these. You being in procurement, I know you can understand this, right? So,
Uh-huh.
right, I got exposed very quickly on how the money moves behind the service delivery of these contracts, right?
Hmm.
So I went from being a project team member to leading teams to being an assistant vice president, I'm sorry, by the time I was 27, 28 years old. So by this time, I'm a direct feed or conduit to our sales team, our business development team.
Hmm.
So I saw what was going on as far as what was going in my check, and then what the company was receiving after they took care of took care of payroll, right?
Yeah.
So realizing how much intelligence or how much information I was giving the BD, the business development folks, I'm like, guys, you guys don't really. I mean, no disrespect to any BD folks out there.
It's a safe space.
Right, right. But I'm doing. I mean, the SMEs are doing most of the work, but there's an art behind selling, right? And you can't really
Hmm.
teach that, right? So that's why
Yeah.
BD is so important. But I'm one of those folks where I can sell and do the tactical work, right? So I can live in both worlds.
Yeah.
So there was an opportunity that came up of Justin. Listen, we're going to bring you up to the BD team because we see that you're able to gain traction, expand contracts based on the contracts that were in flight that I was on. At that point, once I saw that someone had confidence that I could sell for them, I was like, you know what? I'm going to go sell for myself,
Hmm.
right? So being exposed to certain financial information and having a couple of my mentors tap me to be a salesman in the engineering world,
Yeah.
I made a decision. You know what? I'm going to start my own firm and go back to government, and that's how I fell into entrepreneurship from a government contracting perspective.
That's great. Thank you for sharing that.
Yeah.
Because I think a lot of people want to tap into it, but don't necessarily know how, or aren't necessarily called, or don't understand. I guess I would just say the calling to do so. And so, thank you for just sharing your journey um,
Absolutely. You're welcome.
with us. And so, one of the things I want to ask you is about self-care
Hmm.
and like maintaining a balance between, or like the work-life balance, right? Because as an entrepreneur, um, you are all hands on deck all the
Hmm.
time. And
Hmm.
so, how do you manage your schedule, and how do you manage incorporating personal care time?
And self-care is so important. And to be honest with you, I don't think there's one like a magic pill or a recipe for success with regard to that topic, right? Because everyone's life and circumstances are very, very different depending on what you're responsible for, what you're obligated to, so on and so forth, right? But one thing that I've been recently doing is not focusing on trying to take vacations, right?
Mm,
From a vacational sense of going away for 2 weeks. Whereas now I take mini vacations throughout the day,
love
right?
that.
Right. And to do that is so I can detach, right? Because
Mm,
ideas come when you're free thinking, when you have an open mind, and that's when things come. And it doesn't have to be ideas, it's, finding a faster way or a quicker way of getting something done, right?
yeah.
So doing doing meditation throughout the day for 30 minutes a day, completely disconnecting throughout the day. And this is a day-to-day thing, Sunday through Saturday, right? As well as being physically fit. I cycle, so I cycle pretty aggressively. Something to blow off steam,
Like
and that's
outside cycling or
like
like,
out. Well, I outdoor, so I road cycle, so I do go outdoors. But even if
okay.
you have a Peloton or some sort of stationary
Hmm.
situation inside of your house, or a punching bag, or just doing sit-ups, something to blow off physical, because we're humans. You have to be
Hmm.
physically inclined, or not physically inclined, but physically
Active.
uh, active, right? You have to use your motor skills from time to time. Because if you're sitting
Hmm.
in front of a desk for so long, it's going to drive you stir crazy, right? You have to get up and move, right? So that's one thing, as well as your skincare. I don't know why, but ever since I started taking care of my skin, I've just
Wow.
been radiating and
I
been
love
wanting to do,
that.
right? So going and getting your hydrofacials and taking care of your skin, putting the proper chemicals on your face to ensure you're putting your best face forward, right? If you will, right?
Literally. Yeah.
But the main thing is being able to detach. That's one thing. And saying no to certain things. I'm a terrible person at saying no. I hate
Mm.
saying no. I don't like telling my colleagues, friends, no. Like if I can do it, I'm gonna do it no matter how much I have on my plate. But actually knowing when to say no and not feeling bad about it, right? Because I think we put things on ourselves that, oh man, I let this person down, I let that person down. Well, no, we're all big boys and big girls out here. Like, granted, it would be easy for me to do it for you, but I'll give you enough information and you can do it yourself. And
That's so good.
that's okay, right? And you shouldn't feel bad about that, right? But I still struggle with the balance. I mean, 'cause I own two other companies as well too. So
Mm.
right now I'm in that phase of my life where it's like get at it. It's like go for it, right? So I don't think that I check myself as much as I should, but I'm
Mm.
also in a phase where I'm hitting the throttle, like I'm hitting it very, very hard, right? So, but but the things that you can control is having those mini breaks throughout the day and really taking your mini breaks as serious as you take your work, like detach, like
I love
disconnect,
that.
right? Um, Find some sort of physical activity that utilizes your motor skills beyond keyboards, right? And a mouse, right? Get your legs rolling, get your back, get your arms going, stretch out, do what you need to do, yoga if you want to. And also, again, taking care of your hair, your skin, because that gives you confidence, right? Knowing that
Mm.
you look good, you feel good, you're gonna perform good, right? So those are some of the things that I try to focus on.
I love that. And so I see that the HBCU experience movement is in the chat. And so I want to be sure that we mention your involvement in the new project or the new book that's coming out.
Mm-hmm.
So, as you stated before, you are an A&T grad, and I actually interviewed Ashley Little on Tuesday,
Mm-hmm.
and so I know that you guys are have completed the book, and you have it's coming out next week. So, can you tell us a little bit about the movement and why you decided to join?
Oh man, so and what a movement it is, right? So this is the second edition. I'm a part of the second edition.
Yeah,
What the reason why I joined the second edition is because I saw the product of output from the first
the
edition.
first one. Yeah.
And it was great people that I know, a lot of folks that I knew from the first one, and going through and reading that and hearing others' experiences because we all have our own experience in every situation in life, right? So when you make the foundation static of that we all went to A&T, that's a static, that's the static, right?
Yeah.
And then you're hearing how everyone's route was so different. I was like, oh man, I got to give my story as well too. So I wasn't in a place in time where I could be a part of the first edition, but when the opportunity came around for the second edition, it was like it was no hesitation of signing up for it, right? So within my chapter, and thank you, Ashley Little, for Miss Ashley Little, for allowing me to be a part of the second edition. As far as my chapter is broken down into 6 segments, right?
Okay.
So the first segment explains my high school senior year and the decision making process of going from high school
Mm,
to, going to my freshman year of
yeah.
A&T, right? Chapters 2, 3, 4, and 5 explain freshman year, sophomore year, junior year, and senior year, things I was involved in, things like changing my major, joining organizations, being involved in things, running campaigns, so on and so forth throughout that 4 year duration. And the last chapter, the sixth chapter, I mean, I'm sorry, sixth paragraph, sorry, I don't have 6 chapters, sixth paragraph, explains how dismounting from A&T and where I'm at today at a very
Mm,
high level. It was challenging to stay within the 1,500 word cap for your given chapter, but at a bird's eye view, you kind of get a progressional rundown of when I went through from senior year to where I'm at today, a senior year of high school and where I'm at today.
and so tell us a little bit about maybe your writing experience. Did you ever think that you would be a published author?
No, and I actually still don't consider myself a published author. Is that what I am now? Is that
I would
I would
think
say?
so.
Yeah. Okay, I got to put that on the resume. I got to put
I
that on the
think
resume.
that's the next thing to add.
No, man, honestly, and in doing the process, it was such a euphoric process to do this, right? Because you get into a mode where you just go, 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 go. And yes, you stop and smell the roses because we just talked about taking those mini breaks. But
Hmm.
I'm stopping to smell the roses in my current situation, right? To go through an exercise and have to regurgitate experiences from 10, 12 years ago was like, dang, I've really come a long way, right?
For
So
sure.
that's really what I took from it, is like, wow, to see that progression in the way I outlined my chapter. I'm like, dang, I did a lot, because some stuff you forget about, right? So I'm
For
like, I did
sure.
a lot of stuff, right? But you're actually the first to actually say the published author thing, and I never even looked at it like that. I was just a matter of, all right. I just wanted to be able to put myself in, well, put my story in a position for somebody younger or somebody currently attending A&T to be able to have a step by step approach on how they could go, a direction they could go while at A&T and when they dismount A&T, right? And that was the beauty of the process for me.
That's amazing. And I think one of the things that I think is so powerful about the book is what you said, right? So
Mm,
you're sharing stories, but also I think um, it allows the author themselves to be a part of something that's so major, right?
mm-hmm,
Ashley explained on Tuesday that proceeds go to and I think it's an endowment
mm-hmm,
that goes back into the school. So you're reinvesting into, what allowed you to grow, right? So planting the seeds where allowed you to grow. And so I'm super excited about the second edition, and it's dropping on September 30th. It's going to
mm-hmm.
be available on Amazon, so make sure you guys check it out. There's going to be stories from, I'm not sure how many people are in this anthology, but I am super, super, super excited about it. Um, question. Do you think you're going to write anything else? Are you going to be in the next 50? Okay, so Ashley said there's 54 other
Mm-hmm.
authors in the book. So yeah, that's going to be a crazy inspirational book. So you guys be
Yeah.
sure to grab it. So now that you are a published author, uh, do we have something else coming?
Um, I would, as far as from a publishing author perspective, I wouldn't say that I have anything on my trajectory at this moment in time.
Okay.
But through this experience and being able to tell my story and to get such positive feedback and insight from colleagues and friends and family, I do foresee doing more podcasts and interview type things
Okay.
moving forward. Because I'm still writing my story, right? And there's a
Hmm.
lot of things that I want to accomplish. There's a lot of things that I haven't even cracked. I haven't even opened the can yet, right? But that I'm gonna get done within the next 5 to 10 years, right?
For sure.
So maybe when I'm around 50, 55, Lord willing, I may be in a position to publish a book. But I'm one of those folks that if I tell a story, I'm going to tell a story, right? And this book was great because it isolated your collegiate experience, and
Mm-hmm.
I've already accomplished that. And then I had a lot of content to give on that, right?
For sure.
But to go beyond that right now, there's a lot of things on my plate that I will get done. And I think when I get those things done, I stay the course. that may be an opportunity for to publish something. But out of this experience, I definitely want to get more and more involved in podcasts and doing IG interviews and maybe on Forbes one day. Who knows, right? So
Absolutely, I could see
yeah,
that.
yeah,
But
I appreciate
I
it.
would like to submit for your consideration that you have enough of a story right now that is amazing to share, right? And so I think a lot of times we think that our goal, or we have to reach a certain amount of success or goals or, achievement before you can start to tell your story. But on the Tuesdays episode, or Tuesday segment of the show, we talk about success at all levels, right? And so I would just like to impart from you, and this is the first time that we've connected, that are you have enough to write a book right now, right? That is
Mhm.
incredibly inspiring and would make a major impact. So I just want to share that with you. But I understand that, but I think there could be three books, but I
Yeah.
digress. um,
And that's food for, and I take that, and that's received, and that's food for thought. And we should connect offline and talk about that and what that looks like. So food for thought for sure.
okay, very good. And so
Yeah.
now I'd like to just give you the opportunity to share. Um, you said you're owning the owner of three businesses, so I'd like to give you just an opportunity to share, what you're working on, how we can support you, because you've already given me some information to take back to my friend, right? And so I'd like to now give you the opportunity to share how we can support you and what you have going on.
No, so I mean, OEDM, Operational Excellence and Design Management Group. Again, that is a business process reengineering company. The second company is called Giant Solutions, so Giant. That is a purely military focused company where we help drive decision making for senior government officials through artificial intelligence gathering, machine learning, and some very, very complex algorithms. And ultimately, what that does is help drive decisions. So you can imagine as a senior leader that may be in a position to your procurement, right? That may have to allocate funds accordingly to special programs or what
Hmm.
have you, or be in a position to potentially save a soldier or a civilian support life that is downrange in theater, right? We've been able to build a platform, if you will, a tool that can, based on certain variables, based on geospatial data, based on the mission set, as well
Hmm.
as what factors or risk factors are at play,
Yeah.
help project or simulate courses of action that have a high probability success rate. So that's
That
the.
sounds incredible. Like,
Thank you. I appreciate you.
whoa, that sounds giant.
Giant. There you go. There you go. And the third company is actually LeadCore,
Okay.
and this company is based around ultimately helping drive efficiency to small businesses, right? So as you as a small business owner, whether it be maybe government contracting or something else, right?
Hmm.
There's certain things that you have to have within your infrastructure to be able to just survive and do day-to-day business, right? But we help drive that by putting elements in place to help scale your business organically as you're growing. So you don't have to worry about accounting. You don't have to worry about HR processes.
Hmm.
You don't have to worry about pricing, so on and so forth, right? So we are what we would call a one-stop shop to help a small business or an entrepreneur get up and running.
Love
And
that.
that's what LeadCore is about. So if anyone's seeking advice or advisement on wanting to start a business, no matter what the industry set is, we can help, right? Because at the end of the day, no matter what you're doing from a commodity or a service perspective, the
Hmm.
foundations of all these businesses are the same. You can be as big as Walmart or Amazon, or as small as OEDM Group. Ultimately, we have all these same foundational processes in place to
Hmm.
do business, right? And so we have an education function to it.
Love
We
that.
do offer some solutions with it as well too, guidance as well too. Or if you want to just dismount the whole process and just let us take care of it, we can take care of it for you as well too. So
That's
again,
amazing.
anybody out there looking to start a business, reach out to us. You'll be a part of that LeadCore legal entity, and we'll get you up and going.
Perfect. And so I'll get the information from you to put it in the show notes. So people who aren't listening now but will listen on the podcast will be able to
Mhm.
reach out to you to get some help and processes in place. The
Awesome.
last thing that obviously we want to promote today
And thank you, thank you,
is,
thank you. By the way.
of course, is
Yeah.
the the upcoming book that is scheduled to release on September 30th, with the 54 A&T grads telling their stories, an anthology. And so I'm super excited for you guys to check that out. And this has been amazing. I've got a boatload of information to tell my homegirl. And I just want to say thank you. I hope everyone has an amazing Friday and the weekend, and we'll see you guys next week.
Yeah, I just want to say I really appreciate being on your platform.
Thank you.
Again, I really love what you're doing. I really enjoyed the interview.
Thank you.
Yeah, if you ever need anything, please reach out. And again, I'm just super, super thankful for being on your platform.
Perfect. Thank you, everyone. Also, we have a special announcement coming from Affirmed Armor, so be tapped into that. And I can't wait to see your response. So, everyone, have a great weekend. Also, Justin, we have to be still for like 3 seconds. Smile at the camera so that we have a good screenshot at the end. It feels super awkward, but this is just how we end the show now. So,
Okay.
1, 2, 3, cheese. Perfect. Thank you so
Cool.
much. Have a great weekend, everybody.
All right. Thank you. Thank you so much. Take care.
Bye.